Geeta, you said that the sphere would attract other objects around it due to its gravitational force. That's an incorrect perspective. And this is the shift, my friend. Now, if I'm going to challenge at that basis, I'm saying that there is no mass has no gravitational force. It is subject to gravitational force acting at the center on a surface. And so I could explain let's say the gravitational constant calculation. We have a big still ball and a little still ball, and then they're working out the attraction between them. And that's how you get that number. Built it from Levy, 1915, and it's an inverted surface. Surface tension is an inverted surface. If you have a surface, the inside area, square meters of a sphere, of your sphere, is square meters. The outside of it, square meters. The outside of it is bigger than the inside of that sphere. Yes? How thin can that surface be for that still to be true? Theoretically. Imagine it's no thickness at all. Give it any thickness you now need to. I know you guys like the Planck stuff. Pick a Planck length, and let's say that's the thickness, and there's your sphere. Is the inside area greater or less than the outside area? Inside area is less, isn't it? It's a smaller area inside. Imagine that's nothing. Imagine the line doesn't exist as a line. It's a transition from one to the other. And in terms of a dimensional perspective, you're looking at a line. There's one dimension below, another dimension above. If you're in the zone and you try to move out of the zone, there's no line. You can't. You're either seeing, if you're inside, you're white. If you go outside, you're dark. You're light, you're dark. There's no line. Right? You can't see that line. Make sense? Does that rule still apply? Yes, it does. And the effect is in pi, not in meters, not in the ratios. It's the ratios between them. Pi is a ratio, as we read it, and therefore the ratio is different. The ratio is amended to pi rel, so that the sphere that we build now has a surface area inside measured using pi natural, pi as maths understands it, and on the outside, pi golden ratio, golden pi, pi real as I called it, 3.144. It's slightly bigger. It's a circle constructed from straight lines using golden ratio geometry. You force a circle from a series of dot points using golden ratio 1.618. And you get a bigger pi. So that's the difference. So now, I see. So if we're inside the sphere, we use pi natural. If we're outside the sphere, we use pi real. Okay, that makes sense. Because then we'll see the difference in this surface area, which is pressure difference, isn't it? If the sphere is made from light and it's expanding, there's a pressure difference inside to outside. Oh, yeah, you're right. It's pressure difference from inside to outside. And so what you're seeing is that the pressure differential has a different surface on which to act. If it's positive inside, it's negative outside. The positive inside is acting on a surface area which has a dimension measured in pi natural. On the outside, there is a reactive force, negative, acting with pi real. What that does is it creates a surface tension. And so what wants to happen is that the expansive force wants to be on the outside of that sphere. The massive force is expansion from the center, from the centroid of bending. There's a bending force applied at the center. It's forcing this light to expand rather than bend, because light can't bend. So it forces it to expand. Massive force. Outside, reactive response, negative pi real. Bigger. So that if you get to a place where the surface area doesn't exist at all, then the negative contractive force of the straight line on the outside of pi natural is the greater force. So the force that draws things together, that tries to close that circle back again, is surface tension. And so what we then observe in quantum is the surface turning inside out. 720 twist within its own dimension. Yeah, surface twisting through this very complex rotation observations in quantum. Go back to the center and you can see Cayley's cone. So Cayley's cone is an infinite, has an infinite length, and it gets bigger as it gets to the surface. So it's a dot point at the center. It has a straight line length, and then that creates a bigger circle. Look down the bigger circle. What can you see? You'll see the surface. A two-dimensional surface rotating at the center anti-clockwise. The force of surface tension exists with no matter at all. It requires none. It creates the matter. So it exists at the surface and it exists at the center. And it's a bubble in an ocean so deep that there is no surface. The surface is the surface of the bubble. And that's gravity. So that anything that's on a surface will move together. As like quicksand. Imagine that surface is vibrating like quicksand. What should actually be happening is that the matters should sink towards the center and they'd get closer together, wouldn't they? Because they can't sink. The only force that remains is the one that moves them closer together. So that's what happens. They move closer together relative to their masses because they need to start moving, don't they? Momentum. Yeah. Take away the surface. Oh, there's gravity. You go straight to the center. Oh, now they're moving together as well. Same thing's happened. Galileo's ship. Same thing that happens on a surface, the balls move closer together, happens when they actually fall towards the center of the planet. It's the duration. That's gravity. So that gravity occurs from the force at the center of elements. Elements are created from the nuclear force, and that the surface area of those elements is what acts at the center. That is replicated throughout the universe. And it's Michael's capital H over M. Capital H over M is a force driving to a dot point. Dot point must exist relative to a straight line. Radius and circle, gravity. Right, so inside a sphere, as you call it, of course there's gravity. It just can't move because every direction is blocked by the sphere. It's also the same in a square, inside any hollow object at all. Does that make sense? So this is the challenge. A simple switch of perspective, that the Earth is the center of the universe, the fluid bearing of the axis, the surface is our atmosphere. And the surface exists within the ocean, not on the surface. And magic happens here, doesn't it? Magic. Okay, has the future begun yet? Come on, we've been waiting a while. Let's go. See you later, friends.